Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video. Welcome into my channel if you're new. We do everything based on dementia here, both life in and out of the care home. We did lots of care home diaries with my nan, but also do educational videos on dementia as well, and also how we pick ourselves up into our own reality outside of the care home and that dementia world too. So welcome in. If you are new, definitely hit the subscribe button. That would mean so much to us on this journey. It would help push our channel out to raising more awareness for dementia, and that just means the world. Today, in today's video, we're going to talk about dementia aggression, anger with dementia, and exactly what it is and what we can do to help maintain it. I think one of the first things to bear in mind is that anger, sadness, happiness, anxiousness, low mood, all of those emotions and feelings are so normal to any human. They are human experiences, they are human feelings and emotions. We experience them both with and without dementia. So I think that is one of the first things to point out here. But the difference is those with dementia may not have the best understanding or ways of communicating exactly how they're feeling. So they struggle to communicate that out to us. So the best way of doing that is through the emotions and feelings that they're having. So for example, someone that's shouting at you, it could mean that they don't like the light on, but they can't express that to you because they don't have that language anymore, or they may not be able to tell you exactly what it is, but they're feeling all of these heavy feelings and emotions, but can't physically tell you, please can you turn my light off because it's triggering this traumatic experience, it's triggering all these feelings that I don't quite understand what's going on. So instead of that, they shout at you, they scream at you, they push you, they kick you, because they don't quite have that same understanding of themselves as they once used to, which is really sad when you think about it like that. Now, dementia aggression is actually really, really common. I believe that the studies prove that there's about 30 to 90% of those with dementia that do experience heavy aggression and anger. Now, we are particularly lucky on my nan's journey that we don't experience that as heavily as a lot of you guys do, and I know you do. So I just want to send out my massive love and strength and encouragement to you guys, because you're doing a great job. It is so difficult on those days that we experience with Nan when she is really heavily angry and upset and distressed, that I have no idea of how I would cope with that if it was 24/7, and I know some people have it like that. So I just want to send out that love and strength to you all. Now, I think as well with anyone that experiences aggression is there are so many different types of aggression. It can be emotional anger, it can be physical anger, it can be mental anger, it can be traumatic anger. There are so many different types of anger that individual with dementia could experience. So I think it's important to identify what type of anger they're feeling and what type of trigger that could be. But I think it's really, really hard to find the trigger most of the time. And sometimes you can't find the trigger as to why they're feeling angry, and you spend so much time trying to find out the why than actually trying to solve and validate and understand the individual and help them get through it. On my journey with Nan, I used to spend so much time trying to find out why she's feeling this way and what can I do to help, but I don't know what to help because I don't know what the problem is. Like, she's screaming at me, she's telling me to get out, but why? And you have all these questions in your head, and then you're getting worked up and you have no idea of how to resolve it and fix it. And sometimes you just don't need to. Sometimes you just need to be there as a listening ear, as a validation, and help them get through this feeling and these feelings that they're going through. Now, I personally think before addressing aggression or an individual that is experiencing heavy emotions and feelings, it is so important to give yourself a checklist, whether you write it down on a piece of paper or you just store it within your brain. A checklist is so handy to have. Within this checklist, you're basically assessing their environment, personal care and personal needs first. This can basically rule out any underlying causes or illnesses that they may have. So the first thing on this checklist for me is assessing their environment. So within my nan's space and her environment, I go through all of the things in that room that might be causing my nan distress or upset. For example, lighting. Are the lights too dim? Are the lights too bright? Are there any shadows or glare that could be causing confusion or fear, because with delirium, this can cause a lot of stress here. And is there enough natural light throughout the day? So those are things that I cover first. Within the environment, I also look at the noise level. Is the TV too loud? Is the music too loud? Is the environment too quiet? Is it too noisy? Are there any loud or startling noises that could cause an abrupt distress? And as I'm going through this checklist already here, I'll have turned on the light, turn the light off, turn the TV on, turn the TV off, put some music on, put the music off, just to see whether that makes a difference or not. And you're basically testing to see what could be the cause here. Within the room, is there any clutter or is there any obstructions that could be causing discomfort? Are there any new objects within the room that could be like out of routine, could be causing like a threat, or could be misinterpreted to her within her delirium? Those are all things that I look at as well. Temperature, really, really big one here. Definitely something that I missed out within my first checklist. Is the room too hot? Is the room too cold? My nan especially cannot fully express whether she's too hot or too cold. There are some days where she'll just throw her blanket off and that's great, but there are other days where she's so stuck in a traumatic event of her life that she's stuck within this bubble that she actually physically doesn't know if she's too hot or cold. So those are all things that I'll go through as well. Is the person in a familiar environment? Has anything been changed? Has anything been moved? Have they just had their room painted? Have they just had their bed moved? Has something new come into the room that they're not familiar of? Those are all things as well that are on my checklist. Personal space is also on my checklist. Does the person have enough personal space to feel secure and not too overwhelming? I know particularly with my nan, when there are more than one person in the room, with my nan, she also is deaf as well in one ear and she has a hearing aid in the other. So I know she struggles to jump into conversations and understand what's going on most of the time. So if there's a conversation going on outside of my nan's space and she can hear that, that can cause her to shout and raise her voice and not understand what's going on and cause that aggression. So those are definitely things that I cover as well. So those are all the environmental things within that checklist that I'll go through first. Once I've covered all of those and none of those have been met and she's still feeling aggressive, still being angry, still feeling distressed, I will then run through a personal needs checklist. Within this personal needs checklist, I will cover her hunger. Is she hungry? Is she too full? Has my nan had enough fluids? Is she hydrated enough? Does she want another drink that she can't express herself, that she'd like a cup of tea? She doesn't have that verbal language to tell me, so does she want a cup of tea? Can I offer that out to her? Has she been to the toilet? And this is something that I choose personally not to share on here with my nan's really personal care. It's just not fair. But I will go through all of those things within my nan's toileting and hygiene. Does she need to go to the toilet but can't go? Those are all things that I'll look at as well. Pain and discomfort within this personal care. Is there any pain or discomfort that my nan is feeling that she can't express? Does she have a headache? Does she have any muscle pains? Does she have stomach ache? All of those things. And also another one here to look into is, have they recently just been prescribed a medication or have they not taken their medication? Because when you're feeling angry and you're in that aggressive state, I know my nan personally will not take her medication. She does not want that. So are those things that can also be causing further aggression and upset, and it's not part of the routine? Has the times been changed of the medication? All of those things are things that we can look at here. Sleep. Has a person had enough sleep? Have they had too much sleep? That can definitely be a thing, definitely. Are they irritable due to no sleep, basically? Clothing. This is definitely something that I look at with my nan. Is my nan comfortable in her clothing? Is it a new nightie that she's wearing? Have they got buttons on that she's not used to? Are they irritating her? Is there a label within this nightie that could be causing that distress? And then the next part of the checklist is the cognitive and emotional well-being. A lot of the time, my nan's anger, I know from triggers, can come from not recognizing people in her room, feeling frightened of people within her space. She doesn't know who they are. Why are they in her room? Who are you? It must be so awful. And I really tried to put my feet into my nan's shoes and be like, she doesn't know who I am. Why would she want to talk to me and hold my hand and kiss me and sing with me if she doesn't know who I am? I'm a stranger to her and I have to physically remember those things before stepping into her room, because I know my nan. I know all of these memories of our life together, But at that space and that time of my nan's life, does she even know she has grandchildren? Does she even know that she's had children of her own? Is she 10? Is she younger? Those are all things that I try and work out within my nan's space as well. Sensory issues. This is a big thing with my nan because my nan struggles with hearing. So is her vision going? Is her hearing going more that she can't physically see or hear what's going on? And that can cause frustration as well. And also within this as well, checking that the devices are working correctly. Are their glasses strong enough? Do they need stronger, weaker glasses? Are they irritating them? Is their hearing aid working properly? All of those things definitely look at. And I personally think once this checklist is completed, there are definitely way more that I can go into here without rambling at you for the next 3 hours. But once that checklist is completed, and I think once you make a checklist and start it up, you can then start adding more bits into that checklist that does relate to your individual loved one a bit more clearly and a bit more personally to them. But once that is completed and you've gone through all of those things, you should have a better understanding of exactly what could be contributing to their anger. And if you've gone through that checklist and you still have no idea, that's okay, because that happens probably 90% of the time with us. There actually isn't anything that's contributing to it. She's just feeling angry, and that's okay. We all feel that as humans, and that is okay. And I think the next thing you need to look at here is just being a listening ear, just understanding what they're going through and being someone that can help them. And this is something that with my nan's journey definitely helps. My nan wants someone to listen to her, someone to validate her feelings and understand what she's going through. But also, most of the time she's feeling angry about a past situation or a past conversation she's had that's causing her upset, and she just wants to know that it's going to get resolved. So I can be that person to say, I've had a chat with them, you've had a fallout with them, I've had a chat with them now and they're okay. They're going to come around for dinner later and we're going to sort it out. And my nan's, I'm fine. She's like, okay, great, it's going to get resolved. That's cool. There's a resolution to it. There's an end point in sight. And I can get through that now. I feel okay. And sometimes it's as simple as that, but most of the time this aggression is just so big that there's nothing that's going to resolve it. And I think you then need to scrap trying to resolve it and actually just getting through it. How do we get through that? How do we get through the process of that, especially when it is so hard to be in an environment with your loved one or with someone you're caring for when they're so upset and so angry with everything and everyone in their space? And what can you do? So a lot of the time aggression can look like this. You can have the physical side of aggression where they're hitting, they're spitting food out at you, they're spitting at you in general, they're biting you, they're attacking you, they're slapping you, pushing you, all of those physical things here. You can also have the verbal aggression, which is where they're swearing at you, they're yelling at you, shouting, name calling, accusing you of things. All of that is in the verbal section. And then you've also got the agitation and irritability here. And this is basically where they're becoming over upset by minor triggers that could be taking over everything and causing this higher aggression. So how can we help? I think one of the main things that we need to look at here is making sure that we're maintaining a routine, even though it sounds counteractive because they don't always remember their routine, they don't always remember what they've just done, but a routine is so important. Making sure that they're having their meals at the same times, making sure that the meals are offered to them at the same times, making sure that they're getting drinks regularly, making sure that they're having TV time and activity time, physical time, no matter if they're bedbound or not. All of those things are in a routine and they need to remain stable. I think also another thing as well that I forgot to add into the checklist is also checking for physical signs of infection. A lot of the time these heavy feelings and emotions that could have just come from nowhere and it's gone from 0 to 100 could be a water infection. There could be other physical problems with their body and illnesses within their body that they're not able to fully express. So it's definitely worth looking into those as well. So with my nan, I tend to help by using simple communication. How can I help you? I can see you're upset. I can see you're angry. How can I help? Use me. What can I do to help you? And most of the time it is so many different outcomes here. She could be shouting at me, telling me to get out. She could be hitting my hand. She could be telling me she wants to go to the bathroom, but she can't. There are all these things that she could be doing here, that it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what ones I'd go down the route of, but a lot of the time using clear, simple communication is really important. Your demeanor is really important. If you can stay as calm and patient and relaxed as you possibly can, those things are really, really helpful. This can really help to de-escalate the situation within a calm manner, because you're not also jumping up to their aggression. You're not jumping into their world of aggression and attacking them back sort of thing. I do think it is important though at times to be stern back if they need that for that particular individual to make them stop. A lot of the time my nan thinks that I'm her mum, so I think she expects for me to be in that mum role. So sometimes I do have to be like, okay, Jean, we need to stop now. That is enough of that chat. That's not good. And those things can help nan sometimes. Other times there is no point even trying that, but you just have to literally pick out of a hat and try all of these things to try and de-escalate it and calm it down. Most of the time within my nan's specific journey here with dementia is shifting attention and focus onto a new activity really helps. Changing the topic, trying to get my nan immersed into another conversation and fixation is really good. So a lot of the time I'll just talk to her about yesterday. Do you know who I saw yesterday? You'll never believe it. And she's already like, who? Like, she wants to know. She wants to know this information I've just told her. And I'll tell her and she'll jump into that drama and jump into that conversation that she's almost immersed herself for a little bit and forgot how she's physically felt. Again, doesn't work all the time. Sometimes it does. A lot of the time I know my nan inside out, that I can know what music helps my nan now. I know what conversations can help pull her most of the time out of that aggressive state. I know what things make her happy and I know what things can make her calm. So those things I will always jump to every single time. Physical touch, gentle touch. Works for some people, works sometimes, other times completely doesn't. And sometimes you can be like, yes, I've done it. You try it next time, it doesn't work at all. Physical reassurance can be really helpful. They just want someone to hug them. They just want someone to hold their hand while they're going through this feeling. And sometimes comfort can really reduce that aggression, other times it can't. And I think another really important thing here is creating a safe and understood environment. I want my nan to know that the space that she is in is safe. I understand her, I understand what she's going through, especially when she is going through a really traumatic past memory of her life and she's stuck in that and she thinks it's happening again. That can be so scary, and I want her to know that I'm that listening ear, that helping hand, and I can understand what she's going through. And I think because I know already what that trauma is, I know how to unravel it, but a lot of the time it's really hard to go through that. And I think another thing, especially in my nan's situation, which is really hard, is my nan now lives probably 95% of her day within this dementia bubble, but also alongside that she is living in a delirium world where she sees things that I can't, and she's experiencing very high hallucinations that I physically can't see. So I have no idea of what she can see and what she's making out objects to be within her room and her space. And she doesn't have that communication all of the time to tell me exactly what she's seeing and feeling and all of those things. And a lot of the time I'm sat with her, but she doesn't actually know if I'm real or in her delirium world. So that's quite scary as well. And again, ways that we can help with that is literally by being that listening ear, validating those feelings and letting her know that I'm there and I'm a safe person for her to talk to, and I'm a safe person that's going to help her through this. And those are things that help with my nan. But not only are we helping them, we also need to help us as well, and how we can cope in those situations, because they are very heavy and it's not easy. And when it's 24/7, it's really hard to just get back in your car and come home after that. Like, it's really hard to jump back in to your own reality after experiencing such a heavy dementia reality with your loved one. And I think as well, when it is your loved one that you're caring for, it's really hard to see them in that distress and that space, and sometimes there just is nothing that you can do to help them, and you just have to get through it. I think that's everything within the space of time that I want to share. I think there is so much more that we could go into in depth, and I'd really like to do that at some point, but for this video that is everything that I feel like I can cover, that I can remember as well from my own journey with my nan. But there are tons of examples that I could give within my nan's experiences that I'd really like to share on here. So I think I'd do another video where I can actually show my nan shouting at me and show my nan hitting me to push me away, and how I navigate through those without talking separately from it, but actually showing you through it, I think is really, really important. And I think that's exactly why I do what I do and share what I do with dementia, because it's not something that can be learned through words and you write them down. It's something you physically have to experience. But from one human being to another, I just want to let you know and remind you that you're doing an amazing job. It is so hard to cope with aggression and it's so hard to be on this dementia journey, but you're doing the best that you can, and that's all and more than enough. But that is me switching off for this video. Thank you as always so much for your love, kindness and support. It means so much to me here and all our family, so thank you. And as I always say, every like, comment and subscription really does go such a long way on this journey and my channel, so thank you so much. If you did have any further questions or anything that you particularly do that helps you on your journey, please share them in the comments below, because I know a lot of you do look at the comments and read them for yourself to help you further. And I know that sharing my own experiences helps others, but also your experiences that you go through could also help somebody else, particularly on that journey. So that's me going, guys. Thank you so much. I love you all so much. Bye everyone.